good day. We are possibly expecting a Viking to be here today, but I kicked him out. We're really excited to be here today, guys. We've got the one and only Daniel with Investorbase, and I kind of kicked RJ out of this live today. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty excited to be showcasing how you find buyers, how we find buyers with Investorbase. We don't talk enough about Dispo here, and so Daniel, with his very busy schedule, has agreed to come on and showcase the product, introduce you guys to this product. We've never actually introduced this on our YouTube channel yet. So we're very excited today to have him here to pour into you guys, show you guys how we Dispo, how we find buyers with Investorbase, and then we might even have a little treat up our sleeve partially through today's live. So Daniel, tell everyone what you want to tell them about you.
What up? What up? Yeah, happy to be here. You're right about not a lot of people talk about Dispo. It's like the ugly stepchild in the in the family of transaction cycle. But I would venture to say it's equally as important. So excited to dive into what we've built over the last 2-3 years, and show off really how we can identify buyers for you extremely fast, and move more deals. Right. So today I'm assuming Cassie will probably run a live search or two, show the product off, and yeah, we can just do whatever you want.
Well, I love that, and I agree with you in that we don't do enough Dispo lives because let's just be real. It's a little bit difficult without a demo account. You're getting in there to your body of work and you're picking apart and you're showing things live. So then it's okay, I'm going to call buyers live, but it becomes a little bit less of a quick satisfaction conversation sometimes when you're doing that. It's kind of like a to-call situation, or you're setting up a walkthrough a lot of times. And so there aren't enough conversations in this kind of space, in this kind of setting about dispositions, which I've, over the years, set myself to change, right? It's kind of the same thing with comping and underwriting or conversations with sellers when you're talking about renegotiating a contract. They just happen so in the moment that you almost need to not do it on a live. But I want to change that. I want to showcase more of this stuff. So I'm really excited that you've come on here today. And yes, I am very excited to be looking at one live. So yeah, I think first what we'll get into is let's get into just a little bit showing the product off, what it does, how to nav it, and how you do that.
Yeah, for sure. I guess before we do that, just a quick introduction on myself, just so you know that I'm not just some random person showing the demo. I'm the co-founder of Investorbase, so I handle all the business development over here. So I smile and wave, as I like to say, and then my partner Jack has built a lot of the infrastructure with the actual product. But this is built by wholesalers, right? So this was not a good idea. I'm not some tech software wizard, that just decided, hey, this is a good idea, we should do this. This was a real pain that we had in our business, which I think that there's a shortage of technology for, the Dispo space, right? And so probably a component of why not a lot of people talk about Dispo is because a lot of the strategies that people have been doing on the Dispo front of, pulling a cash buyers list or putting it on Facebook is those are things that people have been doing since 2010. You know what I mean? So literally since 2010. I mean, Kent Clothier came up with find cash buyers now in 2009, and people still talk about that. So this should give you an edge. All right. So happy to, we can dive in. We can run a live search and show you exactly how this works and can offer a competitive edge to anybody that is looking to either scale their Dispo, or build their buyers list essentially overnight.
Well, we'll talk about this when we get into the product, but I kind of want to say a little thing about what you just said. like we've been in this business long enough, like where we really were doing that entire model. Like when we started, like we were posting deals on Craigslist still. So like we've
Mm-hmm.
through these evolutions, and it's game changing to use a product that makes you extremely efficient, where you're building that Rolodex. Like if it was that and that alone, like that would be game changing, right? And I think for us, like even when we were doing it in our own CRM, and we attempted to really do those things when we were blasting it, we were text blasting lists. That was one of the evolutions of this.
Mm-hmm.
It is a nightmare. It's a nightmare trying to keep that updated if you don't have like a really good product. But Investorbase is so much more than that. But I'll let you take that away. I will also, just so you guys know, I can do some unrelated to Dispo questions towards the end, but we're probably going to fly through this. It's so good to see some of you guys. Like I haven't seen you in a minute. So yeah, I will keep an eye while Daniel's showcasing this on the comment feed, and I will let you get rocking in there. Show us a little bit.
Yeah, I just saw the comment section. Robert, what's up, bro? Investorbase in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So welcome to Investorbase. All right. So we're a disposition software for wholesalers, made by wholesalers. High level, what we give you access to at Investorbase is an estimated 10 million real buyers nationwide. Okay. So when I say real buyers, I mean, you cannot raise your hand and decide to become an Investorbase buyer. All right. You can't opt in to be here. You can't say, oh, me, I'm a buyer. You can only be a buyer in Investorbase if you have done a fix and flip deal or you have bought a rental. Okay. So that is going to be, what that's going to do is it creates a curated environment of real buyers that you should be speaking with, right? Based on the fact that hey, they just did a deal around the corner. So it's also nationwide. So there are no geographical limitations to the software, like you might find in other places. So we can have a deal in the middle of nowhere, Missouri. We can run a search. We can identify every single person that is actually doing deals. Kathy, why don't you throw me an address? I know y'all are rocking and rolling. What are y'all doing? Like 500 deals a month now, or something like that?
No, we are not 500 at the moment. No, we are actually we're chilling right now with
right
now.
I know y'all are doing some volume. So if you got an address you want to throw to me, we can. Y'all are nationwide too, right? So
yeah. I actually sent it to you in the private chat.
Let me see.
It's like the button towards the bottom.
Where is this? Missouri?
No.
Michigan? Am I Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, my bad.
Lansing, Michigan.
I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, so I don't really go up that way too often. It all kind of blends together.
I was like, no, that's not my property. I'm not even thinking about Michigan.
I mean, is Michigan the Northeast or is it the Midwest? It's a question for you.
Michigan.
Nobody knows. All
Michigan is the mid state. It's all by itself.
Yeah, it's somewhere in the middle. All right, so guys, simple functionality. I obviously have never been to Lansing, Michigan, but if I did, this is what I would do to find buyers for this deal. And it's incredibly simple. All right, so we simply type in the subject property of the deal that we want to find buyers for. We span the radius out. So for this instance, I'm just going to put on 3 miles. And then the search period, I'm going to leave on 2. And what we're doing there is we're going to identify anyone who's fixed and flipped a property or bought a rental within these 2 parameters. So pretty simple. We're going to identify the people who have actually done a deal. We can toggle between flippers and landlords. So if we only wanted to produce flippers, we can do that, or landlords. Property types, we have everything from single family to land. So if you are a land wholesaler, yes, we will identify, some of the new home builders, some of the tract home builders like the D.R. Hortons of the world, but also the custom home guys. So cluster price, we have tons of land wholesalers that utilize the product. We're going to leave it on all. Key point here is when you turn on skip trace and save results, this is going to skip trace these buyers for free, right? So with many other softwares, you're going to find skip tracing between 6, 10, 12 cents, something like that. We eat that cost. There's no extra step, no extra cost. Right? So then we press search. And what we're doing is we are taking what historically has been, a 4, 5, 6, 7-step process, and we're breaking that down into one click of a button, right? So what we just did in a matter of 5 seconds is we just identified every single person who has done a fix and flip transaction, indicated by the blue icon, or bought a rental, indicated by the green icon, within 3 miles in 2 years. All right. So in total, you see we just produced 203 results. Once again, for people that have fixed and flipped a property or bought a rental within 3 miles in 2 years. All right. So when we come up to Cassie's property up here, 415 Pleasant Street, we give you a lot of the information on the property. I'll come back to that in a second. But you see all these deals are being done around this property. Let's click into this one. Just for example's sake, we see 1117 North Walnut Street. This house was flipped. It was a 4-bed, 1-bath, 2,000 square foot house, bought for 75, sold for 100. It was a 9-month turn time. And then we provide you with the actual entity information and the person who actually did the deal, right? So we give you the LLC information, but also who the actual flipper was. So we see Sarah Guild was the actual flipper. We got a mobile 1, mobile 2, landline 1, possible email. Boom. So we got another one here, Caitlin Goodman. Once again, we provide you with all this information on those specific deals so that when you actually make a call to Caitlin, you can reference what she paid for it. You can reference what she did to the property, the specs of that house, and you can relate to how similar your deal is to the deal that they did, right? So if we want to quickly audit, hey, what they do to this house, this seems like more of a wholesale market, just based on the price point. That other one was bought for 75 and then sold for 100. Definitely a pretty tight deal, and more often than not in these secondary, tertiary markets, you're going to
Daniel,
some wholesale.
your sound is really schizophrenic.
Let me see.
You sound amazing when you're facing the mic.
Oh, I got a notification. Hang on, your browser lost connection to your screen share audio. Hang on 1 second. Is it better now?
I can still see you. Yeah, and when you're facing the mic, when you turn away, you sound like Snoopy.
Okay.
Are you even old enough to know who Snoopy is?
Man, Cassie, that's yeah, I know who Snoopy is.
Hey, that's a compliment, man.
Yeah. I'm at that weird age where, I don't know whether to be young or old anymore,
Well, that's been me for a while. I'm a lady.
Yeah. Any advice on that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, you can hear me now, though? Is that all right?
Yeah, you sound great. Yeah.
Okay.
It just was going like so in and out, so where it was, you just randomly will not sound clear. So I'm like, I think you said my name. And
Well, no, all good. Well, just to recap that info that we were looking at, when we're clicking into some of these deal cards, it's going to provide you with a lot of ammo, right?
Yeah.
As to, hey, what did that buyer do? You can click on the Zillow link. Zillow, I have a love-hate relationship. Sometimes they have pictures, sometimes they don't. But when they do, it's nice to see, hey, what level of renovation did they do? What they pay for it? What types of houses are these people doing, right?
Yeah.
So within a few clicks of a button, instead of having to go and say, pull a massive cash buyers list from some of the data providers, scrape, scrub, you beat your head against the wall to skip and then pay to skip trace. We do that in one click of a button, right? And so, the only difference in information that you get with some of the green icons with the landlords is you're going to get their number of linked properties, So for instance, we click into this guy, we can see that he has 27 linked deals here. All right. And if we wanted to click in and see, hey, Corin Homes, where are all of his linked deals? We can click into that. And we can see on a map view all of the rentals that this guy owns. All right. So we just launched this earlier, which is super helpful for rural deals. If you don't had a rural deal, make sure you're using this. We just launched this last week. But not only can you track all of the rentals that they currently own, you can track their historical flips that they did, which no one's ever really been able to do that. But I'll pause. I know I was rambling for a while. That's like that first segment of actually running the search and just like gathering that data and seeing what you're working with.
Which I find really helpful, and our team definitely looks at that. If we are looking at a deal where we are unfamiliar with the market. Now, Lansing is definitely not one of those markets, but being that we are nationwide, it allows us to like really capitalize on like the movability of a deal. A lot of people talk to us where they use this term rural, right? And like there's no dispo person out there who I've ever talked to that's like, you guys talk about you can close rural deals. Well, rural to me is a kind of a subjective term. I mean, when you have a tool like this, you have the power to see like, are there investors buying at a regular pace? How big is my buyer's pool? Because that tells me, how deep I need to be. It also supports like, comps and movability about like the asking price. So like it's pretty clutch. I'm not going to say that we don't utilize this product on an acquisition as well, just as another layer at minimum to verify that, hey, we're in a market where if we lock it up right, it's movable because investors are buying here and we have a good pool of investors, Otherwise, like if you are in a more rural market and say there's only a handful of really active buyers there, you also know where are they buying? And like you have a good understanding of where, and we teach everything that we teach from the perspective of where an end buyer is going to buy. So absolutely we utilize this and actually we recently like went and cleared out from the My Deals tab so many that we actually didn't lock up, but we just did the search on them and we had to move them to dead deal because like we just did the search on them just to see like, hey, we want to verify where end buyers are. After we've run numbers on acquisitions, it empowers you to have more confidence in whether a deal is rural or not. Like we don't look at it in those terms. We look at it, is it in a market where an investor, like where investors exist that are buying, whether it's buy and hold or a fix and flip. This is such a useful quick search on that in the process before you even get it under contract.
Yeah, for sure. And like I'm getting a little bit of feedback, but whenever we launched this product, almost 2 years ago now, we still brand ourselves as a disposition software. But we realized like 90 to 95% of our users are actually running their leads through the software to see what buyers are paying for like-kind properties, right? So, it's honestly probably utilized more on the acquisition front than the dispo front at this point, as far as how many searches are actually being ran. It's actually pretty wild. So like, for instance, like an example of that is, let's say somebody sends you a deal or you get a lead that's in the middle of nowhere. If you run an Investorbase search and you don't see any results for a fix and flip deal or a buy and hold, like you see 0 results within 10 miles in 5 years, it's probably not a lead that you should work on because no one's doing deals there, right? There's either a low confidence score in that market, so people aren't flipping or buying rentals, or it's just a non-investing area. So you'd have a very difficult time dispoing that deal as a wholesaler.
Well, my other thing with this too is that I talk to all the members of TU about this all of the time. They'll be like, if a town has a population of 600 people is that too rural? And I'm like, it depends. Like, if you pull the map up just like you have it on the screen right now, Daniel, literally, I'm like, if this is in a town with 600 people, but it's right next to Lansing, like, and it's a 10-minute drive outside of town, but it's just a small town, like, that doesn't mean a buyer from Lansing won't buy that.
Yeah.
Saying, like, if I sit here and I say I buy in Fort Worth, Texas, well, I live on the edge, far northwest edge of Fort Worth, Texas. Like, I will buy in Weatherford before I'll buy in Dallas, but everybody brings me every Dallas deal known to man, and I'm not buying it because I'm past those days. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just such a useful tool. But if you pull up like a small town like Boyd and you don't see buyers, like, I would buy a house. I'd buy a Holden Boyd. You know what I mean? Where it might not show, if you're so zoomed in, it might not show. So it's about proximity, and it's about this knowledge is power when you're looking for the closability of a deal. Like, if you're going to be marketing it to investors, well, there's got to be investors nearby.
So let's take this deal for example. Now the county records didn't feed through the bed count, but we can edit that. I'm assuming since it's 700 square feet, it's probably a 2-bed.
Oh, let me look it up.
So when we put this on 2-bed, 1 bath, 700 square feet, this is a smaller home. Some people don't do 2-bed, 1 bath. Some buyers don't do 2-bed, 1 bath, right? Some guys don't like this house being this small. But what we're doing for you on the analytics front extremely quickly is we are pulling in like-kind properties that have just been purchased by an investor. And we're giving you that price that they paid, right? So if we look at this, we are seeing all of these are 2-bed, 1 bath. All of these are right around the 700 square foot. All of these are within a mile. We see some are flips, some are buy and holds. We see someone bought for $29,000, $86,000, $67,000, $82,000, $47,000. Let's load in some more comps. And we keep going. All of these are sub 1,000 square foot comps. This one's a little bit farther away. So this one, I like to keep it under a mile. But we are able to produce like a blended average of, hey, what are people actually paying for 2-bed, 1 bath, 700 square foot houses? Right. So this isn't 70% of ARV minus repairs, minus blah, blah, blah. This is, hey, like, what are people actually paying here? And if you're doing nationwide and you're doing PPL, I mean, what happened to us all the time in our business when we get a rural lead, Cassie, I'm sure you'll experience this all the time, is like, you may look at it and underwrite it, based on retail minus repairs, minus a fee that you think somebody would want to make, right? Whether they're flipping it or whatever the return metrics are. And then you're way off. You're like way wrong. And like the first couple buyers you speak with, you're like, yeah, I'm asking, 50 for it. They're like, what? And you almost feel like stupid. You're like, dude, we buy houses around here for 20,000, right? And so you can't know a market too well just by looking at retail comps. You really have to take a look at what buyers are actually paying for deals.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of that legwork for you here. And if you wanted to go in and just snipe some of these, like, hey, what are people doing to these houses? What percent of ARV are they paying? We can come in here and sort by flipper percentage of ARV. We can see, hey, who is paying the most on our percentage of ARV basis? Out of all of these flips done, who paid the most on a percentage of ARV basis, right? We can filter by square footage. I only want to see the people that are buying the smallest houses. And look at this. We found David Hall. This guy has done 10 deals within 3 miles in 2 years, and we can see all of them here on a map. There's 1 flip, 2 flip, 3 flip, 4 flip, 5, 6. It's just an indicator that, hey, look, you have to call this person.
Yeah, of course.
You have to call this person. This guy is definitely going to buy your deal.
If you locked it up right.
If you locked it up right. Yeah, for sure. So hopefully, I don't know, what did y'all have this under contract, Cassie?
We do. I'm trying to log in all of my stuff because I'm on RJ's computer because my dogs are in my office. So I'm trying to see.
We can get back to that, but I'm hoping, I would say if you're like sub 50, depending on the renovation, should be good. This is telling us that an investor will likely pay like around 48,000 for it, around 50. I mean, there's some higher ones if it's going to be, more turnkey to rental based on these 2 buy and holds where they paid, 47, 82, 86. But yeah, a good starting point there with just the analytics functionality. So Cassie,
we are asking actually lower to our end buyer.
Yeah, good. So it might need a little bit more of a renovation, but yeah, you should definitely be able to move that if you're sub, 40, which you probably are.
Yeah, we are.
Nice.
Definitely.
So I'll keep rolling through some of this, Cassie, some of the features that I know y'all been using on y'all's front on the dispo side.
Well, this part is my coup de grace here. Like, I love this so much with these. Was just getting into the dispo process, like how you look for buyers. But what is even more powerful for me is, the building of the buyers list, the My Deals tab, the landing pages. It's just like, this is all that helping the dispo process stay organized, simply because it makes you more effective and more efficient. And like, I am used to operating a huge business, and a lot of people, they come in and they're slinging deals, and this is really useful if you're in that position. But if you're going to do more and build your business and scale your volume, even if you're going to stay a solopreneur, like, this is clutch, because it allows you to, well, I'll let you show it off.
Yeah,
I love the conversational bits. I love all of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot to it, and we started with simply the buyer search, right? We want to be able to find buyers, right? But that now at this point, we're a full encompassing, dispo software for the full workflow, right? So what we just did is we identified our buyers, right? We're able to click into the deal, see the analytics to see, hey, what should we offer this person, right? Let's assume that we have it under contract now, right? What's the first thing that we need to do is we need to put all of the details of this deal into a landing page, which is what we call My Listings, right? So more often than not, a wholesaler is going to be, texting a buyer a long paragraph, or they're emailing them a long paragraph, or they're using like a MailChimp type email with like a link to a Google Drive link. And then you got to share access to the Google Drive link with, the buyer, and then their GC wants access. It kind of creates a cluster. And I've had that experience many times being on the buying end of a wholesaler's like flyer. So what this does is this allows you to, let me just take the address real quick for y'all's deal. This allows you to create a landing page for the deal within seconds, right? So here we go. Cassie, y'all got a little binker on your
little sound thing again.
Oh, really? Is that better now?
Yeah.
Okay. I said y'all got a little dinker here, huh? A little green monster.
I love it.
So what we can do is pretty simple stuff. Like, everyone has probably seen some sort of landing page or flyer. But what's cool about this is it's all in one spot and it's consolidated. So let's say we're asking 50,000 for this. We put in our listing title, upload our photos if we want to. If you need some of this, is actually a cool feature that a lot of people don't know about, but if you click on this photo, this icon here, we'll actually send somebody out to take pictures of your property anywhere in the nation within 48 hours. So it's an additional fee. We have a partner that we run it through. But speed to getting pictures so that you can get speed to marketing the deal is incredibly important. And so expediting those and actually getting professional photos is going to separate you from the wholesalers who are getting pictures from a seller, and it's going to save you time at the end of the day. But other stuff, we got ARV, rent, roof condition. We can type in all of the details that a buyer would possibly need for this deal in order to make an educated offer. You insert all of that in here, you click publish, and then it's going to create essentially a landing page that you can share with a buyer. So I'll show you what a buyer would see, right? So let's say we typed in all the information for this deal on Lansing. All we do is click share, copy this link to a clipboard, and we simply send this to the buyer. And when they open it up, I just switched the link over here. You'd have all your photos in here, but it would have all of the details of the deal so that you don't have to answer questions on it, right? So the overview, the transaction details, occupancy, condition, comps, next steps. If they want to contact you, just view their contact information there. And when they're ready to make an offer, they can just make an offer through the portal. So you're receiving offers in one place now, right? So that's one thing that I would recommend doing just whenever you get the deal under contract first is actually putting things in one spot, right? So that it's not all chopped up, it's organized, you look different than the other wholesalers. And what you might have noticed there is my whole screen was orange. That's because our branding for Hawks Real Estate is orange, right? We had my logo, we had my company name on there. Investorbase wasn't even shown on that landing page. It is like your personalized.
I can't hear you at all now.
Really, that's so weird. I haven't had this happen before.
It's literally being possessed periodically, random.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what to do on that. Hang on.
You need my sound guy. I had to have someone come fix mine too.
Well, I got a little mixer in here. I mean, like I'm usually on this mic all day long, so I don't know. I'll just keep talking really close to it. If that works better.
It seems to work for the most part.
Good deal. Good deal.
Wild. It's like when usually it's only happening when you turn your head away versus at it.
I got a good idea. I'll just bring my screen right in front of me. How about
that? I think that should help.
Yeah.
I think that should help. Danny Forrest is doing me a really huge favor later, and he's lucky because Big Mama Cass, that feels like a shot in the kidney. Big Mama? That's new.
Wow. I know you'll arrive with it.
So yeah, we've got this. You can hear him fine, no breakups for you. Okay, good. That makes me feel better. When I checked earlier, it was like everybody was saying like, yeah, they were hearing the same thing I was, but it might be exaggerated on RJ's speakers. He always turns it up so loud that I think sometimes it does that. So I just want to make sure you guys can hear. So yes, getting this extremely having everything in one place is fantastic. But
yeah, for sure.
It's also, I love the landing pages. That part is stellar. I love that you're branding it out because you're going to be sending this to buyers usually through email or text. I prefer sending buyers information through text because we actually mail, right? Like we're actually hammering the phones. We're actually connecting with these buyers. We're actually putting them through what we call the DISPO formula. Regardless, we're going to still want to send them a good landing page. Now for us, it's really imperative that you don't overdo it. Like you give them the information that they need. And this is something I hammer onto you. A lot of people think that the more extensive they make it sound, the bigger, longer, more ridiculous it gets, the more the landing page will sell it. The landing page is important so they have ease of access to have eyes on the visuals that they need and the information that they need. But you still got to get in that conversation with them. You've got to talk to them about how they're going to make money, about why this is a good deal for them. You've got to talk to them about what you see and get them in the door. I mean, to this day, and God knows how many properties we've wholesaled, God knows how many flips we've done, God knows how many, buy and holds we've had all over the nation. And I still it would take something insane for me to buy a property that I didn't walk through and did not have an extremely trusted person that is going to be on my team for the project walk through the property, right? And so I don't like to go overkill on the landing pages, but having all that information right there, ease of access, send a link, like it's beautiful. But as the person who all these years and all these deals later, you know, I've trained our team. I work with our team on through the whole entire operations. And I think that when it comes to having everything all in one place, when you're going through the dispositions process and you're calling through your buyers and you're calling through your list, like what's really clutch and really key is that you keep these buyers, you know, you keep your buyers list and you keep their profile updated and that you keep updating it. So this to me is where we get into some of my more, you know, favored organizational bits of base.
Yeah, for sure. And so like after you have that listing built, the hardest thing for, you know, whether you're a one-man show or whether, you know, you have a disposition manager or you have, you know, a dispo VA, regardless of any of those three situations, it's always been incredibly difficult to track, you know, your KPIs on the dispo front, right? So like, hey, how many calls did we make for this deal? How many people did we actually get in contact with? How many people are interested? How many people want to walk it? Okay, how many people did walk it? Right? Right. So what is our show rate? Like, is our show rate good for each deal? Is it bad? How many people that walked it made an offer? Right. So like, where is the leaky bucket in our dispo process? Are we doing enough follow up? Right. And so where it starts is just with engagement on the deal and doing the outreach that you just talked about. Right. So when we had built the search page, you know, the next logical thing was to build a place in order to track our progress, which is the My Deal section. So let's say we have this deal under contract up here in Lansing. We go to the My Deal section. We have some simple walkthroughs, some simple statuses, right, of our deal statuses. Let's click into Lansing. And when we click into the specific deal, this is where we're going to track our progress with actually selling this deal, right? So we see we have 170 unique buyers to actually do outreach to, which is a lot of buyers that have just done a flip or bought a rental, if you think about it. These are like extremely qualified, condensed buyers. So when it comes to like doing, you know, call outreach to these people, this isn't like calling, you know, 10,000 people on a cash buyers list or calling your entire, say, buyers list. These are people that have actually done a deal recently nearby, right? So what I can tell you about this section is 60% of the buyers that you speak with in Investorbase will be interested in the deal on average. Okay, so we ran a test not too long ago with Egyptian virtual assistants, and Egyptian virtual assistants were able to produce a 60% contact to interested rate. All right, so that's out of 30,000 phone calls where you speak with, say, Marissa Lott here, and she says, yes, I'm interested in that deal. The more difficult part is getting people on the horn, right? So, and that's just where we're at in 2025. You know, people are being mass blasted by email, by text, by phone call. You know, these are real buyers that are busy. So the biggest thing is actually getting these suckers on the horn, right? So when it comes to like how we're tracking this, it becomes even more important nowadays to make sure you're tracking stuff like this. So when we click into Ricardo, what we have the ability to do is just take notes. We spoke with Ricardo, and we can take notes on our conversation with him, right? We can change his buyer status. Okay, so what did he say other than that call? Let's say he's interested. We can mark our touch points. How many times did we try and reach out to him? It's the first touch. We can validate his phone numbers. And so as we move down this list, we can start to track, hey, how many interested buyers do we have? Call him once, validate his phone number. And so what we want to do is track our interested buyers, but also get our call to contact rate up to like 50%. Okay, like that is usually a goal with like a cold call campaign. So regardless if you're using Investorbase, or if you're trying to call somewhere else, you got to get that call to contact rate up to at least like 40 to 50%. And I can tell you, if you do that, you're gonna have a multiple offer situation. Okay. So this is a great spot to just track, hey, who didn't answer. So that way on day 2, after you've called all these people and you want to come back in, you can filter by buyer status, no answer. We see duplicate because he's done 2 deals. But we see Kyle Shaw, hey, we tried to call this guy yesterday. He did not answer. This is who we need to follow up with. But in reality, this list is going to be much larger. So just something simple to help you really organize, the actual campaigns that you're running to your buyers, right? And then the last piece, Cassie, is going to be the buyers list, which has some pretty sexy functionality, I'd say. But did I clear everything up on the My Deal section? Anything you want to add with that?
I'm sorry. You're where I can't understand you again. You asked me a question.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Can everybody else hear me? You put in the comments.
They're saying they can, but you sound like that to me sometimes.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, I'll see what they say. I'll keep talking regardless. But
yeah, keep talking. But I didn't understand your question.
No, all good. I was just going to say that the last piece. So we got a yes, so that's good. We got 2 lists. I can hear both. Awesome.
Okay.
So the last piece in here is going to be actually building your buyers list, right? So regardless of if you have, say a 10,000 person buyers list that you've been building for the last 10 years, or you don't have a single buyer relationship in your market, you have to have some sort of prospecting, mechanism or campaign for buyers in your business, right? Because what I can tell you from running a dispo software and tracking live data, so live movements of buyers, that are inserting themselves into new markets. I mean, I can tell you for a fact that on a daily basis, there are new buyers inserting themselves into your market every day. Like I can't tell you how many times we've done a demo with, let's like a guru or a big coach, and they're like, man, I have the most robust buyers list in, X Florida, wherever it is. And we run a search for them on a demo, and they suddenly see that they don't know, 50 to 60% of the people on this list that we're providing to them. And some of these guys, like Joshua Johnson has done 2 deals, or that other guy that had done 10 deals were on this list. So what I'm saying is there are always new buyer relationships to be had, and there are always people that are paying more than some of the buyers that you might have. It's a timing thing, right? So when it comes to actually adding a buyer to your list, it's this simple. So with Investorbase, let's say we talk with Ricardo, we have a great conversation, and he's like, man, yeah, I want to buy 150 deals this year. You're like, damn. All right, Ricardo, that's awesome, man. Well, I'd love to help you hit that goal, right? Let me collect some details in your buy box. You want to find out what his kids' names are, what his favorite football team is, like actually build a relationship with this guy, because that's going to separate you from the rest of the guys. It really will. Like if you want him to answer your phone call every single time, take the extra steps on that initial call with that buyer to form that relationship. Take him to lunch. Do some things that other wholesalers wouldn't do. Only if he's a good buyer, right? When it comes to Investorbase, we just click add to buyers list, and all of a sudden he's in our buyers list. So when we click into buyers list, what's interesting about this is we just added Ricardo Torres, and this is our master buyers list. We got some analytics up here to show you the dispersion of buyers on your list. Buyer type are they? Property type do they buy? Where do they buy? But when we click into Ricardo, we're able to see, hey, his information that we pulled in, but also the locations that he actually buys in, right? So like, I did not add this, okay? This is automatically populated in here based on me just clicking the button, add to buyers list. We also see buys single family. We want to change the purchase price. Let's say he doesn't buy over 500,000. He does small renos. He doesn't buy in septic. He doesn't buy in well. And we can track all the other notes that we want to, like substitute, right? But I'll show you a different one, like Peter Stanley. When we added him, 16 different unique locations populated him. So I don't need to sit here and ask Peter Stanley, hey, where do you buy or what do you buy? I already know that by simply clicking a button. So buyers list is extremely powerful. We have Zapier functionality in here. So if you want to simply push these people into, an SMS campaign or an email campaign, it's really easy to do. And we actually have a specialist set you up with that. That's works for us internally. So a lot of, I mean, it has the functionality that you need to really get to that point that, the guys who are doing 15 to 30 deals a month, like their type of process, like you have access to do that with this, which before now was a little bit difficult to have access to,
Yeah, no, I love that. And like this, like I said, like this part for me is, it's kind of like the clutch piece, simply because, like I said, when I'm sitting here training a team how to do this, and I have to go in and like I'm auditing them through training, or like somebody who's in leadership on your team, I'm telling them like, you have to go in, you have to audit the work, you have to audit the buyer's feedback. Like, I am heavily focused, and my team is heavily focused, and our students are heavily focused on the fact, like, if you're connecting with these buyers and they aren't buying it and they aren't interested, you need to figure out why, right? Like, what you got to figure out through this process, what gets this to close if it's not moving. And you got to keep it in front of people who are real buyers, and you've got to call and have those conversations. And to stay organized, it's like you said earlier, it's a hot mess express if you're just doing all of that organically, and then like 3 days later you're going back through and you're calling these people, and you're calling people that you're calling over again because you just didn't stay organized, you didn't keep everything on one place. And it's really difficult to have like a comprehensive tool and not keep that stuff up, or expect that to happen in your CRM. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
This for me, it cuts out so much of like even the copy and paste work that we used to have to do back in the day just to keep track of where we're at. Like, I literally had a template where we were indexing where we left off on a list. Like, that's how we used to have to do this. Whereas now, if you just keep it updated in this system where your listing is, where it's all in one, like, that makes such a big, huge difference. We have a few people that are basically asking if we can show one in a non-disclosure state.
Mm-hmm.
Because people kind of have this, which I love this question, which by love I mean, like, I don't know why some people it doesn't work in a non-disclosure state. Like, Texas is a non-disclosure state, and I hear like a lot of people like talking about like some products don't work in non-disclosure states, and it's like, everything can work. It depends on like your access to the data, right? Mm-hmm. So there you have it. Yes, this works in non-disclosure states, and for those of you who are asking, I'm new. It states where listings are only available to real estate agents. Is the understanding that through Investorbase, the listings aren't really listings, and does it bypass this rule? I'm not sure if that is the same question that you're trying to ask, as like, does this work in non-disclosure states? Or maybe if I'm misunderstanding that particular question.
So I can clarify that a little bit. So listings, the title is a little bit misleading. It's not like an actual listing where you post it and it's like a marketplace or something like that. So it's actually just a landing, right? So I hope that answers that question. There's nothing wrong with the listings that you create with us as far as MLS and that, or with agents or anything like that.
So yeah, basically what you're asking here is you're only allowed to list a property if you're an agent. Yeah, we're not listing a property. We are building a landing page for a deal. We're marketing a contract. So I see what you're saying there. Yeah, you don't get to bypass laws by having like the landing page of your listed deals. I actually I'm an agent and I don't even hear it like that or think of it like that just because the MLS services. But no, this is not connected to the MLS and it's not a marketing page. It's just where you can go and you can copy a link to send people your landing page for the deal. So
Yeah, and I'm a broker too here in South Carolina, where we probably have one of the strictest legislations nationwide. So I mean, what I can tell you is like with our listings, you know, the only people that can see this landing page that you create are the people that you share it with, right? So, you know, speak with your attorney in your market on, you know, what the gray area is on actually marketing, you know, properties or assignments. Like I know in South Carolina, it's very intense, so people operate a different way. But the good news about this is like you can be very selective of who you send it to. It's not just going to be seen by, you know, some people that might not be a buyer, right? So that's a good safety net there.
yeah, your conversation language is really super important, and your understanding of these things is really super important. But yeah, you're not sitting there just blasting it out to everybody known to man. And like honestly, I've never adhered to the idea of that being the best way to go. Like I legitimately, as an agent, hated the concept of just that approach where you're just like trying to hit everybody that has a phone number and email. Like I never loved that approach, but I also like the way that we had started our business, we stayed very local. You know, we didn't have access to things like this. And for me, I think it's just okay, good. That answers the question. For me, I think it's just vitally important to understand the components of what you're doing. I think South Carolina and Nebraska are the only two states that have ever sent us a letter. So if that means anything to you guys, they are very strict about making sure you work with an agent. If they see you mass marketing a contract for sale, and you don't have a license, they're gonna find you. Like, right. And here's the other thing: if you send this out to just blasting a list of people, like a lot of times the reason that happens is because an agent is getting a hold of it, right? Like they're trying to capitalize on that law. Like they want to list the property and make their money, right? So,
Tori
is amazing.
Tori, what up, bro? SC in the house. I didn't see Tori in there. Nice.
Yeah. We probably have a lot. I don't even know how to look and see how many people are viewing this, to be honest. This is not my normal. I normally record on StreamYard. I don't go live as much. So
Cassie, if I can highlight just this non-disclosure because I saw it come up a few times. Y'all, so you just saw me just come and grab an address here in Dallas and just run this search. So everything about the search functionality works exactly the same, right? I want to be clear because I didn't say this the first time, but when we're running a search, this is not just a cash buyers list, okay? We're not looking at cash or whether they use debt at all. We are solely looking at, hey, did this person do a deal or not? All right. So when it comes to you know, the data that we're producing here, I guess I'm talking about two different things right now, but the actual search functionality, we are looking at who did a deal or who did not do a deal, right? And the reason for that is because when the other softwares that are producing a quote unquote cash buyers list, and I just want to clear this up, someone could have moved from New York City, sold their condo for $3 million, moved to Dallas, Texas, bought a house here for cash, and then they would populate on that cash buyers list. But in reality, they're not really an investor. They just have a lot of money, and they paid cash for that deal, right? So they are not someone that you should really be reaching out to. Right. On the flip side of that, you know, literally pun intended, the flip side of that, Hawks Real Estate, we used to flip a lot of houses, but we would not populate on a cash buyers list because we utilized hard money on our deals, right? So all of the debt would be recorded as a first position lien on that property. So we would not be recorded as a cash transaction. So we weren't on that list. So we started to think, well, hey, how many flippers out there nationwide utilize debt? Like at least 80 to 90%, are using hard money debt on their deals. So 80 to 90% of the flippers that you should be contacting aren't even on this cash buyers list. So we said, man, away with that. We are just going to figure out how to identify, who's doing a flip, who's doing a buy and hold, regardless of their debt or equity structure, right? So when it comes to non-disclosure states, everything's going to work exactly the same, all right? The only difference in information is we're not going to provide you with a purchase or sale price, it being non-disclosure, but we're layering in MLS data this quarter. It is slated. I'm not just saying that. It's slated for this quarter. So this flipper, if he sold it on MLS, we're going to have that sale price for you. If he bought it on MLS, we're going to have that for you. For the landlords, if they bought the rental on MLS, we're going to have that for you. So we're going to give you as much access as anybody else is getting. If you can figure out how to find, sale prices, then let me know. We'll throw it in there. But as far as I know, it's impossible.
Well, I actually, I love that. I think that where I was actually going to chime in here is, for lack of a better way to put it, and I had like a implementation call, which is what we call our coaching calls with our Titanium University members, where I was talking about this a lot today, in that this is one of the reasons I truly like PropStream as like a comping tool more than many others. And here's kind of, it's just my go-to nationwide. So like non-disclosure states, like they have access to MLSs, right? They can pull that data, they can pull that information. They're also pulling eventually from county records, right? So they may not be accurate in every market, but I've found that in most non-disclosure states, like you can get a lot of really good information there. And like where they're pulling mortgage, and I've comped more properties in this stinking country probably than anybody you've ever met in your life, right? A lot of time that stuff is like extremely, extremely accurate, right? And it's going to at least get you in range. So for me, like when I'm going and moving over to dispositions and I'm looking at this from like the buyer's standpoint, like you lose sight of that information if it's not right here. Now, that being said, are they looking at that when it's a comp? I don't have problems with this in Texas as a non-disclosure state. I would actually say the ones that are actually a little bit more difficult are like I think it's like Missouri's kind of a pain in the butt on some of that information. But I just would not let that trip me up, right? Like if you're coming in here and you have information that they flip or that they hold, just talk to them about numbers on like, hey, I know you've, in the past year or whatever your filter is, past 2 years, you've bought several buy and holds, you've bought several fix and flips. Are you in the market to get any more? I have one under contract that I think would really interest you, right? And at the end of the day, having that information, while it is extremely powerful and it can help you really target this, I wouldn't let that stop you from like dialing that buyer. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I come from the days where we're not like, this is going to age me, but where we're literally like, it was kind of monumental when we could pull a list and call cash buyers. And we were calling all of those people that, they bought it with inheritance money, or they bought it with the, cash with from the sale of another home. They weren't investors, and then it was monumental, revolutionary when we could text blast those buyers. And we're sitting there doing all of this work to filter this down and narrow this down And people look at that and they go, well, softwares are expensive, and well, it's expensive in your time and the money you're having to spend to pull all of those and filter them out through contacting them and contacting them and contacting them. And as more regulations come down, being in contact with actual real buyers, I think that's the important part. So if I can't see in like how much they bought the house for and sold the house for, well, I find that is really incredible information to have. Definitely. It helps you kind of prioritize your buyers list. I still don't think that that stops you from this being extremely effective in a state where you can't get access to that data necessarily, or can't get access to that data until it records. Because some counties, you guys gotta understand, they take forever to record shit. You know, sorry for my language, but they do. And like, again, I kind of have that mentality where like, this is such powerful information. Like, if you don't see that pop up, that doesn't mean don't call that buyer. Tori says, quick question for buyers with link deals, which link deals is fairly new. Will you be adding a feature to see that in the buyers list once they are added as a buyer?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Tori. Yes, we will. So we're actually going to take that a step further. So what we're going to do in the buyers list is, like, for instance, REI Nation. I mean, look at this guy. I'm pretty sure this is Kent Clothier's fund, but
yeah, I was going to say, like, where are you at? Tennessee?
Could be wrong. But we see they've done 1,546 flips that we have on file here. We see they're buying in Houston, San Antonio, Dallas. They're buying in a lot of different markets. But to Cassie's point, it's like, we know for a fact this guy's buying, right? So we're going to contact him. We're going to have the same conversation with this person, regardless of if we have the price that they paid or not. You know what I mean? Like in my calls, even when somebody has, like, I have the price that they paid for property around the corner, sometimes it's irrelevant because I don't know what the renovation that they did. And sometimes I'm not able to use it, right? If I'm able to like leverage the price they paid because they paid more than anybody else, those are usually the instances of where I'm like basically price anchoring a buyer is when I'm going to like say, well, hey, look, man, you know, mine's about the same square footage. It needs about 40K in reno. Do you think you'd be around that same price that you paid for, you know, Whittingham Cove? Knowing in my brain that they paid a lot for it, right? And so I want them to say yes, right?
Right.
But more often than not, you know, that I'm lucky if that conversation happens, right? So,
well, I think it's just kind of like also a rare conversation. I think it's powerful information, but I'm so heavy on understanding, you know, how a buyer makes money on any property. This all started way back in the day because I'm like, I don't want to be telling somebody else that they can make money on it if I couldn't see myself making money on it. Like, I don't want to be like, I don't want that to be the reputation that we build as a business. And so it started so long ago where it's like, would I buy this? Would I buy this? Well, that's how I looked at it when I'm running numbers. Would I buy this? Would I buy this? Would I buy this? And I'm preparing myself to buy this. Like, in the instance that our marketing didn't work. Now, obviously, like, we have a good history of putting our deals in front of buyers and it works for them. So I don't usually have to worry about actually ending up buying it if I'm not ready to take it on. But at the end of the day, I think it's, you had the perfect response there. You have no real clue, even if you have photos from the MLS, what kind of work was required for them to sell at that price. And I say this all of the time. We have to look at the current market value. We have to look at the after repair value, and the after repair value is going to be contingent upon the condition of the property that your property is in. Your property is going to be specific. So unless you had one buyer buy this entire neighborhood, call them. You know, like, they're not going to buy at the same price. It's not going to be the same project. The rehab is not going to be the same. And while the ARV, the end product, could be similar, that doesn't mean your asking price to that buyer is going to be the exact same. Like, it could be higher, it could be lower. What you're looking for is a buyer, and this is such a great question from Tori, because like when you see their linked properties, like you can kind of see their buy box. Like they don't want to take on $750,000 ARV flips. They don't want to take on, they're not buying every one of these properties at $400,000. They're buying everything that they're buying under 200,000, and then they're trading it for under 400. Like that's, Daniel said bye. I was just talking too much for him. He just clicked right on out of here. Well, we'll see if he comes back. REI Nation is legit. I broke it. I didn't break it. My hands were up here. You couldn't even see anything. But they were not. Yeah, I know. Daniel said bye. I'm sure he'll come back. I'm sure he accidentally clicked out of it. But all of that to say, it is extremely vital that you guys don't become over-reliant on the tool doing the work for you or the tool possessing the knowledge for you. It's so, and I say this because, a lot of times, there he is. There he is.
I just got the mega boot. I don't know what just happened.
I wasn't touching anything, I swear. I was like, bye, Daniel. No, I was like, what I was saying is that these tools, something like this can empower you, make your business so streamlined, give you access to knowledge that would be otherwise very hard to get there and prioritize. However, one of my least favorite things is when people expect to get a software like this and expect a deal to sell itself. It's the same concept of, if you have a deal, it will sell itself. Well, not if you don't put it in front of a buyer. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it is extremely vital for you guys to just understand your numbers, because if you have the price, if you're priced right, and you call actual buyers and you stay organized and you stay effective and you stay efficient, that's how you are building a business, not just throwing spaghetti against the wall to see if it will stick. And it's so interesting because people will be like, well, how well does this work? Well, it works extremely well. We sit here and we put this to the test, and it's like, yeah, it's not the same as what we've used before. And I'm guilty of, frankly, kind of being stuck in my ways. When something is not broken, right? But I'm also in the position of, I kind of we have this responsibility where it's like, we do test. I don't want everybody that's in TU out there trying to test every stinking thing that people talk to them about. And we are very picky about, what we talk about and who we talk about, so therefore people kind of hold us responsible, and they'll say, well, some people might not be paying attention. They might say, well, I put a listing on Investorbase and I got no contacts. Well, that's because you didn't send the link out, right? If they don't know any better, they don't know any better. But people kind of want softwares to do everything for them. And I think what I love is that with all of the knowledge, the organization, I literally love your user interface. I love the organization. I love that it's not overcomplicated. I love that it's simplified. I love that it's easy to teach. I love that I can go in there and I can look at my team's work. And frankly, I love that it holds team members accountable to the true parts of the process that technology can't really replace, right? It holds them. If you do all of the things that this can do and you do your job, yes, of course it works, right? But it takes in knowledge and understanding of, the actual dispo process too. And so that's why I kind of love showcasing these products and going back, coming full circle. For me, it really was, it's a thing where, a lot of our audience, they talk about this a lot. Why don't you guys talk more about dispo? Why don't you guys talk more about dispo? And it's like, God knows your girl here wants to talk about dispo. It's my favorite part. Everybody thinks comping and underwriting is my favorite part. which, I mean, it's all my favorite part. Who are we kidding? But comping and underwriting is actually not my favorite part to teach, right? It's a longer process. I love spending time in the dispo space because I love talking to buyers. I love getting them good deals. I love acquisitions because I love talking to sellers and helping them solve their problems. I love every part of the business. And for me, the comping and underwriting portion is so related to the acquisitions process and the dispositions process. Like, it's so vital. But yeah, you've got to do the work. You've got to follow the system and have a process within that system. And I do love how Base it's so clean. And that's what I was just talking about when you decided you were like, I'm out of here. Bye.
Chrome just decided to shut down on suddenly, word for word. But yeah, I mean, some of the things that you're touching on, Cassie, too, like if you're sitting here and you're like, well, what are the KPIs I should be tracking? What are the cadences I should be calling these buyers? What are the types of calls that I should be making, right? What does it sound like? I mean, if you're interested in Investorbase, like we do a one-on-one onboarding call with anyone who comes to us, and the guys who we have show you the product are dispo specialists, right? They've been here for a long time, done a lot of deals. They had their own businesses. Like they know what's going on. And if anything, you learn on that call outside of just, how to use the product. So some of the things that we won't have time to answer today, like we do a lot of education on our front.
Which is a beautiful thing, because I think I'm telling you, like, that for me is such a game changer, and that, like, it is so easy to log that information and go in and see, because I'm telling you, I come from, like, I used to literally, we would print out every morning a daily notes where, like, literally I would have the guys tally how many calls they made, how many people answered, like, while they're working, they're just tallying away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, legitimately, like I said, the index from before. So since we don't have like 9 hours to talk about dispositions, talk a little bit about, I think Matt says, I think Investorbase is great during acquisitions. Yep, exactly, Matt. We did touch on that earlier. It gives you the web, which you can dictate. I think for me, I focus a lot more about like movability for buyers and making sure you're under current market value when you're running the numbers too. And Base should work pretty seamlessly for you if you ran the numbers right. So, but there is a process after contract, right? So, what you guys got a lot of cool stuff that you're working on, and I'm really excited about the evolution of what you guys are doing to tweak this, because I think that's a really important thing in a company, in that, in our experience, when you're constantly listening to your customers and staying up with the times, versus like, hey, you could have left this as XYZ. For me, because of the space that I'm in, and because I'm constantly wanting to make things better and easier, not just for my team, but for the body of people that we work with on a daily basis. So I just really want to, kind of make that note as well. Like, I had some really cool conversations with Daniel recently about the future features that they are working on. And you did roll those out in your Facebook community, right? Or am I wrong?
We don't have a Facebook community.
Well, your community. I didn't get in the call. It was a call?
Yes. So we had a webinar where we rolled out, or we showed off a lot of the upcoming features that we have. One of those was linked deals, and then we actually shortly after launched it. So that was in beta. I just showed that to you today. I really haven't even had time to play with it yet, but I was trying to sell a deal live the other day in front of a lot of people, and what I found is it was a really rural deal, right? And sometimes you'll find, even on like a 10-mile 2 or 3 year search, there's not a lot of people that have done deals in that amount of time if it's super rural. But I was able to click into one of the buyers and see that historically he's bought 27 rentals like right around that property, and I would have not been able to find that information. Now you can find linked properties for the current deals in someone's portfolio, but what you can't find anywhere else, and what we thought was impossible, which is what we did, is to find the historical flips. So you can go in and find every flip that somebody's done anywhere in the country in the last, like, I think it's like 20, 25 years, something like that. Which I did not think it was possible, but we just rolled that out. And so one of the things
I will beta test that for you and see if see how close it is to the number I have in my head. I mean, it probably knows better than I do.
Get in there. Some, it's not gonna be perfect, right? Some are gonna slip through the cracks, right? Just due to the way that we're tracking things, right? Because we've but at the same token, like I just saw REI Nation in there for the first time. Like I saw Braden mention in the chat that he sold deals to them. I've sold deals to them as well. I mean, they're a big guy. And I mean, out of that whole result set, they definitely had the most linked deals at 1,561. You could see every market that they buy in. That's somebody that you want to form a relationship with because, hey, look, they are massively buying deals. So some of those insights are super invaluable, and it's that kind of outside the box thinking that we do over here. Like, because no one's done that before. We don't even know how that's going to be utilized, but it's really gonna. I mean, as far as analytics wise, it's gonna help a ton. We're already seeing that. So.
So that webinar went out to your customer base. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yep, that's it.
So yeah, I really look forward to continuing to see how we can kind of showcase how we dispo with Investorbase. And before we wrap this up, does anybody? Matt has a question.
Okay.
Are you able to give some numbers on how often a buyer will use the financing feature that is in Investorbase?
It's an interesting question, Matt. Are you a lender? I don't know. I don't think it's that often, but we had some people request the potential to toggle to remove that, if that's what you're hinting at. And we did roll that out, so you can have the financing button or you can take it out of the My Listings. I'm not exactly sure how many times a buyer clicks on it, though, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because you're not tracking data from like that angle, right?
I mean, my partner Jack probably is, but I'm just out of the loop on that.
Okay, I get that because like RJ does that stuff to me all the time, where I'm just like, oh, that's nice and new, cool.
Yeah, not my department.
Which is literally that's why I'm here today. RJ hasn't really dove into base as much as I have, or our team has. So he was like, why don't you talk to Daniel today? So I was like, happy to do so. I love it. Hi, Caesar. Cassie plus Ivy. The name is
Caesar's here. What's up, bro?
Caesar. Okay, does anybody else have any questions for Daniel before he takes off? I'm just going to give them a minute. I'm so used to doing that in implementation calls. I'm like seeing it flood in. It's so different when we're live because like people are like driving and doing things. So I'm like, okay, maybe not. So tell us what's next. What can everybody look forward to next from Investorbase?
Yeah. So one thing in particular is going to be, programmatically updating people's buy boxes. So similar to what Tori hinted on earlier, you saw now that we have all of someone's historical flips. We have all of someone's current portfolio. So we can just take all the commonalities of all of that information and essentially start to programmatically update someone's buy box for you. Because what I bought 2 years ago, I'm not buying anymore, right? Or I might not be buying in that market. So most people's buyers lists are just stagnant and they sit there. They're not updated. So we're going to start to do that for you. We got some SMS implementation rolling out probably this quarter Q1. we're talking about pricing tiers. So pricing will change. I can't give you any insights on where it's at, or where that's going to go.
Take my
Yeah.
credit card.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that.
We got seats coming out so that you can have multiple different disposition managers, but that you can also have acquisition agents inside Investorbase so that it doesn't clog up essentially y'all's CRM section, right, Cassie? Because you said earlier, you were like, we looked in it and we were like, man, we didn't even have a lot of these under contract. So like obviously people are using it for acquisitions. We got a heat map coming out to where you can see, per market, the percentage ARV that people are buying at in that market, how many transactions are actually being transacted there as is versus total, so that you can make actual marketing decisions, but also see where people are buying strong or not strong. That's a few things that just came out of our, Q4 roadmap call yesterday. It's probably like 50% of them.
No, that is actually, and that's kind of what I was kind of hinting or trying to push at, because like I didn't really know you didn't have the webinar in a Facebook community, because I'm terrible about being in any Facebook community except for our own. But that's why I was like, I want to push you to, because like those things for me, like that is what is important, because look, again, it's coming down to being more and more and more efficient. Now, of course, a lot of people don't understand what it takes to integrate something like that and to build this insane, robust, platform. Like it is a lot to build it. And I do love, like one of my biggest things is that, and I was hoping Justin and Danny were on here just in case they didn't get that, right? That SMS, like that direct click, right? Where you're marketing, that out to your buyers. And look, this is not taking away from what I was saying earlier. Like, I'm not just trying to like spray and go and just hit everybody under the sun and avoid that phone call. But for process to be more effective and efficient, I come from the times when like legitimately we used to have a boot camp, and we have so much data from back in the day, batch leads, where we would literally just like, God knows how many hundreds of thousands of data points, because we were just mass text blasting on acquisitions. And we would actually do a little bit of it on dispositions, but aside from the point, like that's not what I'm trying to do in base. And I think that your product, the way that it's built, the evolution of it is incredible in that factor, because it's like, hey, yeah, I'll text you, like I'm going to call you, but I'm going to text you at my link right here. Like that feature is really effective, because then when it's tracking it in it's like your CRM for Dispo. And that's just so beautiful for me. But I love that you guys are working on always making it more powerful. Like that is such a key important feature for me. And anybody that we work with, any software and product or vendor or service provider that we use, it's such a key factor for me to get on a live with anybody that it is important. Because that's the reason that we go live, right? Like we have like a trusted space here. So I love that you guys have so much more coming and that you keep it coming. We love your product. Is there if you could wave a magic wand and add a new feature, that's the one that for Cassie anyways, Matt. right now, that's the one, because what am I about? Like that effective, efficient button, but not to be abused. SMS and one-click sending of a marketing page. I love it. I love that tracking feature too, right? It was like, that's how I'm going to train my team. Like, you're not going to just get in here and just click buttons. Like, that does not work that way, right? Like, you're just going to end up murdering your like, dude, nobody wants that. I get like friggin' 20 spam voicemails a day. I get spam texts. I ain't looking at that. That's not how I teach our team to connect and make real connections with real buyers and do the thing, right? But for the efficiency of like that organization in the system, I think that feature is going to be so cool. So, all right, parting words. I could talk about Dispo all day. I know I've had you here for for well over an hour. So anything you want to leave the people to part with today?
Yeah, I mean, just since we're closing up shop, I mean, like, we have a 14-day free trial. So we try to make it as frictionless as possible to come and test us out. So I don't know if y'all have that link for that, Cassie, but obviously
We
Cassie
do.
and RJ have a discount link that gets you a 14-day free trial. It also gets you $100 off that first month at Investorbase. So instead of $250 a month, it is $150 for that first month. And obviously with that comes everything that we just showed you today. So link deals is included in that, the free skip tracing, et cetera, et cetera.
I love it. I love it. You guys can find that link for that free trial in our show notes in the description. I don't know how to pull it up on here because RJ has so much stuff in our stream. I don't know where to click, if I'm being perfectly honest. I'm terrible about it. I'm like, okay, it's in the show notes. I know that. And we appreciate that. You guys are going to fall in love with it, like just from the simplest features. That much I can assure you. So, Daniel, we really appreciate you being here. We know you're a very busy guy.
No worries. I'm more than happy to do it. I welcome the opportunity to work with y'all's group. I mean, I'll look in Facebook sometimes and just see everybody talking about PPL or whatever the case may be in titanium, and it's pretty funny. It cracks me up. But always happy to jump in and help where I can. So I'm one phone call away.
We appreciate you, sir. I'm sure we'll see you back soon here, and I'm going to answer this last question and we'll let you go. Okay, what is your unrelated question? Daniel, we appreciate you. You don't have to hang around. I'm going to answer this live question because I don't know who this person is.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys. See you later. Appreciate it.
You got like 9 seconds. Yeah, it was. What is your unrelated question? 1 second. Bruh. What? 1 second. You've been asking. You're trying to find a setter job, like an appointment setter? I don't know, man. I have a feeling this is going to be the dead zone. Well, while we're waiting on that complete, how do you find a setter job? I guess what appointments are you trying to set? We don't actually have a setter position in our business. So I would work with identifying, maybe get into some of the bigger groups, ask if anybody has appointment setters. If you go into the Vault, which is our free Facebook community, this is not TU, and you post in there, you'll see a lot of TU members. We personally we don't have that position in our company. We find that it kind of adds in a barrier of entry, if you will, to the closing. We have a business model where I'm highly training people to be closers, and I get that everybody starts somewhere. So my best piece of advice to you is if you want to start as a setter and you want to stay as a setter, then you need to find somebody that has that full-time position. My company would not hire for that position. That's not to say that everybody that we hire is going to be already highly skilled and trained, but you'd have to have like the desire to become highly skilled and trained. So we would not hire for that position. So you would just need to find businesses. I'd start with the free version, get into some of the bigger groups, ask if anybody's hiring for a setter, either in your area, or if you're planning to work remotely, then I would get in there and make posts about that. Calling people, and that's the other thing for us, is we're not calling people that are like super cold just to see if their properties are still for sale. We moved to a PPL model a long time ago, and I think that that's why a lot of people don't necessarily have this position. However, when it comes to a different business, now this could be related and this could maybe spark an idea in you or not, but I will say in a different business named Titanium University, we do have where we start people as setters. We actually used to, back in the day before we were really moving to the PPL model in full, we used to have what we would call junior agents. So they would be an acquisitions or dispositions person. And we would start them in a junior position while they were training, and they would definitely transfer. But that we were really only doing that when we were cold marketing. We don't really do cold marketing anymore because the times have changed, and we find it actually kind of more affordable, effective, efficient to do that PPL model. That's not to say nobody in TU even has like VAs or appointment setters or things like that, because they do. But that's also to say that, like in our other business, we definitely have that position where we are vetting people out to see like if they're actually serious about joining TU before they get on the phone with a salesperson. Because that is a business with like, we're okay with having that barrier of entry. As a matter of fact, we like it. We want them to gather more information to see, are they a good candidate? Are they a good fit? So, just because it's real estate, I would just be very specific in your posting. I'm looking for a position with a real estate company, wholesaling business in which, I can start in this position, or I'm looking for this position. Does anybody know of anyone who's looking to expand their team? And I would just start with that and see what you get, and go from there. You have a lot of experience calling and talking with people, setting warm leads. There's no closing experience. Yeah, I understand that. For me, this is just a matter of, I also wouldn't, we have remote team members now for the first time in a lot of years. We used to have basically what you're doing. When we very first started, we called them, gosh, I can't even think of what we called that position, but we would have them, we wouldn't even have them call people. We would have them, filter through data, and we would have them, identify properties for us that we would want to skip trace. Like, so it's just because of that evolution of our business. Just because like we're not necessarily doing it doesn't mean there aren't people that are out there that do actually do that. But I don't happen to know anybody, and I think that the best place that you could look and figure out, if there's a good fit for you out there, and maybe even expand that position, would definitely be in like groups like the Vault. We've got quite a few people in there, and so you may have some luck posting in groups like that. All right, guys, I'm gonna go do my thing. It's great having you here today. Make sure you smash that like button. Give Daniel all the love. He's actually he's about to be going through a really wonderful experience, life-changing event. I want him to feel all the love. So it's wonderful that he took the time to be on here with us today. We really appreciate him. I actually look forward to getting to showcase more dispo stuff on these lives. But that's contingent upon whether you guys really want it, like it, need it. So let me know in the comments, smash those like buttons. Let me outperform RJ on our YouTube channel, because I love saying like, ooh, my video was the best video this week when I come on here. So love you guys, mean it. Good spending time with you as always, and we'll see you next time.